Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second concurrent session of the day, Communication and Organization, Keys to Online Learning. Our presenter today is Jason Caudle from King University. Jason Caudle currently serves as a professor of business and program coordinator of the Bachelor of Business Administration at King University. He holds a doctorate of management as well as PhD in instructional technology and has been teaching online since 2004. He has designed many online courses and is also actively engaged in mentoring and supporting fellow faculty members. If you have any questions for the presenter during the session, please feel free to enter those into the Q&A section at the bottom of the Zoom room screen, and we will address them at the end of the talk. And on that note, I will hand it over to our presenter.
Thank you, Daisy. Really happy to be here. Great to be back another year for the summit with Hawks Learning. Always a really great event. Happy I get to be a part of it. And I'm going to go in, share my screen here, do the whole screen, get my presentation running. Grateful that we've got everybody with us today. I keep things pretty informal when I do these, so if we hit something that you really want to talk about, or you've got a question, or you just want to jump in and have a conversation about things, please don't hesitate to do that. I like these to be interactive. That makes the synchronous online thing work a lot better for all of us. And in addition to that, we'll have dedicated time for questions, discussion, stuff like that at the end. So during or after, please jump in and talk to me. I'm looking forward to some good conversations with everybody today. Great introduction. Thank you. And the thing about teaching online since 2004, one of the things that really jumped out at me and was kind of a turning point in how I view the work in our whole pandemic experience was that, the whole of best practices for online learning in 2004 was a few bullet points. I mean, it was less than a decade old in terms of, really broad adoption. We were so young as a field that there wasn't much to know. So getting up to speed happened pretty quickly. I've had that privilege of growing up with the discipline and learning stuff as it's come along. Asking people to go from zero to competent with just the scope and the scale of what goes on with online learning at this point, it's a lot. It's a huge ask of people. So that's really influenced how I look at working with faculty, working with colleagues, coming to things like this today, is to be conscious of the fact that a lot more of this is new to a lot of people than those of us who are in the business tend to think. I am a QualityMatters certified online course peer reviewer. This is not a QualityMatters session. I'm not going to read through all the details of the rubric or talk really much at all about that process, but I bring it up because the QualityMatters approach to things has very, very much influenced the way that I design courses. I really did identify with it when I went through training initially over a decade ago now, and I've stayed up to date and kept that certification current over the years. So there's going to be a pretty healthy dose of the QualityMatters philosophy in what we talk about today. And if anybody's interested, you don't have to go through all the training. The rubric is freely available online. If you've got a real interest, pull that up and just look at the points that QualityMatters recommends. I think you'll see some pretty good parallels between that and what we're doing today. And the final piece, with the broader context of what we're doing in the summit, my comprehensive philosophy of online education is written in full text on the screen. Show up, pay attention. We can dive into details for days, and the details matter. Those fine things of technology and pedagogy and all this other stuff. we've got to do those pieces. But when it comes to being an effective online instructor, if you're logging in on a regular basis, checking your email, answering questions, posting grades and feedback in a timely manner, you do those things, the vast majority of students are going to be happy. So I'm a big believer, keep your focus where it needs to be. And that means where it makes a difference. Showing up, paying attention, that's what makes a good online course. It's easier to do that when the design's good and we've got all these other pieces. But that's the core of it. Take the best designed course in the world, don't do that, it's a bad experience. So I like to keep that at the forefront of our attention when we talk about these things. So I can't see people, but you know, at your desk, raise your hand if you have had a colleague with an office like this. Oh, good. I'm getting the alerts for the raised hands, and there's more of them all the time. We have all seen these faculty offices, right? I had a CFO like this once. His student worker was out when I needed a form to request some funds for a student organization. Every horizontal surface of this guy's office was literally stacked with loose folders full of paper. There was a little rabbit trail from the door to his chair, and even the floor was completely covered in stuff. He literally found the form that I needed, pulled it out of a plastic grocery bag hanging from the doorknob to his office, and like smoothed it out and handed it to me. Here's what you need. People do this with their LMS. The point of this, it's a learning management system. We don't want to just do a file dump of every conceivable thing that might possibly relate to the subject and throw that in a great big list online and say, well, here's your course material. It's not effective. I've been doing this long enough that I remember when there was kind of a battle mid 2000s over what we were calling things like Blackboard, and Blackboard was really kind of the thing, Moodle. And it was, well, is it a content management system or a learning management system? I think LMS won out for good reason, because the focus is on learning, it's not on content. So what we want to do is make the content very easily accessible. We want the content to be organized. And when we do that, we enable student learning. And that's why we have the platform. So what is it we actually want to do? What do we want students to do? Well, they take, whether it's an online course or blended or it's face-to-face course, we've got LMS support for it. When we have an LMS connected to our course, we want students to engage with the course. We want them engaging with colleagues. We want them engaging with us as instructors. We definitely want them to engage with ideas. And when they're engaging with ideas and all this other engagement, they're learning new things. The goal of our design is not for them to have to figure out complex navigation. And I put that on the list and crossed it out very deliberately, because I've seen so many classes that, you know, you've got to think, is the goal here for them to figure out how to find stuff? Because it's very challenging. I'm going to check chat here. Okay. Thank you, Daisy, for encouraging questions. I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing one there. So what we want to do when we structure a course is to focus on engagement. We want the people that are a part of the class to have their focus on the course. And good design helps people do that. So that's what we're trying to accomplish when we set our course up. Clicked on chat and it killed my presentation. There we go. So course navigation is really the core focus of what I'm talking about today. And it is strongly informed by QualityMatters. And the way QualityMatters is set up, you've got 8 general standards, 40 specific standards. And before people start logging off, that is the only mention of the standards we're going to have. There's not a list. I'm not going to read them to you. But we've got a total of 48 standards for Quality Matters. The most common phrase across those 48 standards is the two-word phrase clearly stated. Now, those of you that have been a part of the process, the Quality Matters rubric is incredibly demanding. And if I'm remembering correctly, the requirement to have a course even reviewed initially, it has to have been offered at least 3 times, because there's an understanding that it takes time to fine tune a course. So you can't just create one and say, hey, certify it. It's got to be run and improved and tweaked. And even at that, with that level of improvement, it's incredibly challenging to get through this rubric. And the number one thing in the rubric is to clearly state what you have to say throughout your course. Make it really easy for students to know what they're doing, when they're doing it, how to do it. Make it easy for them to connect with you. That's what we want to accomplish. So it's never a bad time for a dog picture, as far as I'm concerned. Organization equals satisfaction. And not much looks happier, I think, than a golden retriever. I have banished my 10-month-old Doberman to the backyard so I could do this and you can hear me over him. For some reason, when he opens his mouth, it makes people nervous instead of happy. So I stole a golden retriever picture for this. But what we really want to do is make both teachers and students happy in the course design. Organization helps people do that. And when I was putting this together, the thing that really came to mind for me is that I love to cook. I've done a ton of it this week. Don't have time for the stories, but I've gotten to feed a lot of people this week, which makes a Southern boy happy. I hate cooking in somebody else's kitchen. Mine, I know where everything is. I don't even have to think. I just open cabinets and reach and grab stuff and I keep rolling and I make stuff happen. I go to anybody else's house to cook, even my parents' house, and you would think I'd know their kitchen pretty well, but I'm not there often enough to have it memorized. I spend more time looking for stuff than I do working. And what I want to do is cook. I don't want to dig through cabinets. Now, this tends to be better when we get a Verbo or an Airbnb or something, and it's one of the good ones. That somebody's gone through and they've put labels on all the drawers and all the cabinets so you can look and you know what's inside. That's an organized kitchen. And even though I've never been there before, I can be reasonably effective in cooking in a different kitchen because everything's easy to find. It's been labeled, so I don't have to dig for it. That's the thought process we want to go through with our course organization and our design here. Is how do we make this easy for somebody to walk in who's never been here before? They understand an LMS, but they don't know our course. So how do we make it easy for them to grab what they need quickly the first time so that they can work instead of hunt? That's what we're trying to do. So how we do this breaks down, in my mind, into 4 concise points. We've got repetition, clarity, multiple approaches, and consistency. And we're going to go through each of those, kind of talk about what it looks like when you're designing your course. There, I can minimize that. We can't hide the comic strip. That may be the best part of the whole presentation. Raise your hand if you've been tempted at some point in your career to just set up an autoresponder the first 2 weeks of the semester that says it's in the syllabus. Every email you get just gets the automatic response, it's in the syllabus. We know, and my first professorship, we were still actually meeting face-to-face and handing out paper syllabi. It wasn't a given to do everything electronically yet. You hand them a paper copy of the syllabus, they still don't look at it. You're still flooded with emails and class questions the next time you meet, on stuff that's in the syllabus. Okay. We know people aren't reading stuff at all. If they read it, just as human beings being overwhelmed with information, we rarely commit something to memory the first time we hear it. The more places we can post something, the more likely it is that somebody will see it. And in addition to letting them see it, if they see it in more than one place as they're going through the course, that repetition kind of provides people with an impression of importance, right? They look and say, wow, you've said this like 5 times in the course. I guess maybe I should pay attention to it. Now, none of this is foolproof. It's not a guarantee that you're never going to get a question of something that you've already written down. I've had them this semester, but you make it easier and easier and easier for the students to get stuff without having to contact you. They would rather just know than have to email and wait and get a response and go through that. So repetition's a big key in this. Not only do you have to say it, you need to say it effectively, which is where the clarity piece comes in. Be very direct. I think all of us understand that there are real issues in terms of like richness of communication, right? Text-based communication is not a rich medium. Posting video can help. It can be very helpful with some instruction. But regardless, when you're doing something in a digital format, you need to be very direct in what you're saying and just specify, here is exactly what I mean and why this matters. Do that quickly. As academics, I think we're kind of prone by training and habit and everything else to say, okay, so here's what you need to know. And now here is a discussion of the last 20 years of literature that explains why you need to know that and how I know that. We don't need to do that here. Here's when this is due, and here's directions for how to do it, and here's where I want you to upload it. Done. Be succinct in your messaging. Much better chance they're actually going to read it if it's short. And this next one, I've got a caveat too. Avoid unnecessary jargon. And that's really the key, is the unnecessary part. For all of us, whatever our field is, jargon can be very appropriate in our course content. We can deliberately use professional jargon for our field to orient students to the discipline. And that's part of our job as an instructor. If you're going to use a term like that, define it. Provide the right context for it so that you're sure they understand it, and use the language of your field when you're doing announcements in an appropriate manner. But outside of that, don't just throw random stuff in. Please do not be the stereotypical first-year grad student using a thesaurus, trying to put in fancy words because you think it makes you sound smarter. All that does is irritate people. So we don't want to be unnecessary in our use of jargon. If we use it, we want it to be deliberate, to say, hey, this is our field, this is standard language, you need to understand it to be a practitioner. You also want to keep content discreet. And what I mean by that is, it's much better to post 2 or 3 discrete, succinct announcements than it is to post one great big one that says, hey, this week, we're doing all this exciting stuff, and here's all the stuff you need to read, and a line in the middle saying, your major project for midterm is due this week. And then the next paragraph, you get into a big discussion of, and hey, if you've seen the news, the stuff we're talking about in class right now is really relevant because this, and this is going on. All of that is good content that's valuable to the students, that helps the course move forward. What are the odds that line of, oh, by the way, your major project is due this week, gets lost in all that text? Odds are pretty good. So we want discrete content when we post. And we're going to kind of some setup and some different things you can do with your LMS. But, the important stuff, like put a heading on it, boldface it, change colors, whatever you can do, make the important stuff look important and have a discreet announcement about the important stuff. Now, there are some blurry lines in this whole thing that, we're talking about, hey, be repetitive, be clear. The multiple approaches thing really is almost the same as saying it, more than once. But I want to make the point that it's not just, hey, post the same announcement 3 different times during the week. And that's probably not going to be terribly effective. But we know that people pay attention to different things. And some of that's just their preference. Some of it is the experience they're bringing in from the systems they used in high school, from the systems they've seen with other professors. Some people really focus on announcements. Some of them only look in the modules. Some of them only pay attention to email, whatever the case is. The LMS gives us lots of different ways to communicate. So use those. Announcements are a great tool. I always like to have an intro page for my modules. The text you connect to, posting materials, posting assignments that explain, hey, for the reading this week, here's what we're going to do. And this reading is important too, or, what I do a lot of times is connect sections of assigned resources to specific components of the course, things like that. That can be explanatory and help them connect the dots. You've got Q&A forums, you've got, all kinds of different things. But what we want to do is make multiple approaches so that the students can get to that information easily, really wherever they are within the course. And I freely admit that I'm kind of obsessive compulsive. I'm wired that way. And then I went to college and got degrees at the bachelor's and master's level in operations management, which made it so much worse. And then I was so busy as a doctoral student, carrying multiple jobs like most of us do, that I had to be obsessive compulsive or stuff didn't get done. I carry that for good reason into course design. Time spent searching is wasted time. And if every module in your course is different, students are wasting time. They want to start out and say, what are my readings this week? Oh, which menu 5 clicks deep are the readings under this week? Because stuff keeps moving around. It's a waste of time if they dig to find it. Too often, if you make it that difficult, they're just not going to find it. They're not going to look. And that has obvious implications for their ability to learn in the course. So we want to be very consistent. The structure of the organization, it should be as close to the same as we can make it throughout every module. Same place, same formats for information throughout the whole course. Order of elements in every module should be exactly the same, so they know when they scan down where things are going to be. Now, this is not at all to say that you need the same type of content, the same type of assignments, the same learning experience. All that can change module to module and should. This is not about limiting what you do in the course. It's about making it easy for the students to find the things that are going on in that module, so that whatever's happening, whatever they need to do, is in a consistent format from week to week. So a few technical things. I can't help getting into a little bit of technical stuff. I'm an old IT guy. I used to be a sysadmin, and I did a bunch of technical documentation and training, and it's been years ago, but I've still got the bug for it. One of my favorites that I do extensively, Canvas is my LMS that I primarily work in. I'm an old Moodle admin. I was a Moodle admin for several years. I love embedding navigation links into all the places I post things. So announcements, module introductions, all that stuff in my courses. When I talk about be sure to go through, the readings for this week. If they click on readings, it takes them directly to the page that has all the readings listed. And if I talk about, hey, we've got our first quiz this week, I've got a link that takes them directly to the quiz that they can click on, begin the quiz. And Daisy's doing a great job taking care of things. I want to make sure I wasn't missing a question. If there is a question, please jump in and let me know. I'm happy to stop. I really, really like linking everything to a calendar. The majority of LMS platforms do this automatically, but you do have to go in and set deadlines for the course, for those assignments. You can't just say, hey, this is due Tuesday and leave that as a heading. You have to manually, when you set up the assignment, set a submission deadline. And when you do that, the vast majority, maybe 100% of the LMSs will automatically put that to the calendar, so that if the students want to click on the calendar, when they open the course, it'll pop up. Okay, I can see exactly what's coming up. A lot of them will also allow for you to download and import your course calendar. Check the Q&A. So Mary is asking, our LMS is limited to 100K. That's not much right now. Can't even post all your PowerPoints without linking out other suggestions. My number one for that really is to use, set up and use something like, OneDrive on the Microsoft platform, Google Drive, if you're a Google user, iCloud for Apple. Personally, I find that less than ideal. I really just, and I'm actually going to talk about this in a second. I can jump ahead a bit. I really like the LMS to be a single sign-on, do everything in the system experience. I think that's easier for the students. If that's not possible, then linking out is really the thing to do. One thing you may want to consider for that is, set up a very organized folder structure in, whatever file sharing platform you're using. Make that overall folder shareable, and you can give students the main folder link at the very top of your LMS. Hey, here's the folder with all the course stuff, and they can go and open that up and pull stuff as they need it, download it, have it local, and then as you go through your LMS module to module, you can link individually to the specific files. So you give the students choices. They've got the option of, I want to just get this week by week. I want to go and download all my material, so I've got it local, which is what I like to do. And 100K is that's tight. Especially in this day and age when we're really pushing, hey, we need multimedia, we need multiple, learning opportunities for, people of different learning styles to access material different ways. But yeah, you're going to have to use some kind of centralized file share for that. I wish you didn't, but I don't have another technical answer for it when they're capping your limits. I ran into this personally last year. I went through the promotion process last year, last academic year in 2020. So nothing caps all the experiences of a pandemic like also going through promotion review. And I tried uploading my stuff wouldn't upload because I had used my personal user limit of file storage within our LMS. And what I ended up doing was basically exactly what I said. We're a Microsoft campus. I did a folder structure. I uploaded all my required promotion content into OneDrive, and I posted links in the LMS. And they promoted me, so I guess it worked. But another question. So master folder in OneDrive, whatever platform you're using. My personal take would be that that's probably the best way to do it. So the course I've got pulled up, a lot of times when I do these kind of web sessions, people want to look at one of my courses and we can walk through. So the one I've got pulled up is BUSA 2200. It's our Management Information Systems course in the business school. So I would just have a BUSA 2200 folder with all the student material in it and let them have that master folder link, make that a shareable folder. But then I would definitely have a folder structure in that master folder. And different ways you can do that, depending on what you think will be best for your students. You can do it that they open the master folder and they get module 1, module 2, module 3. So it's broken up by content module. You could also have, one folder for presentation files. That's all your PowerPoints. And then another for, tutorials. And that's, all the files that are tutorials for how to do specific content things in the course. That's very much a personal decision based on what you think will be the most logical structure to work for your students. But if you have that master folder that's shareable, they have the access to just go in there, navigate as they wish and grab whatever they want. And then you also have the freedom to link direct to the files that you want as they're needed in the course. So the students really get the best of both worlds. On that note, in terms of best practices, and this isn't entirely connected to the presentation today, but kind of is. I have started maintaining all of my syllabi in OneDrive. And rather than posting a document, I share view only. They don't have editing privileges, but I have a view only share link to the syllabus in the master file for all my courses. And what this does is that anytime I need to update a syllabus, which is almost every year, I think that's the case for most of us, that there's some change in policy or language or whatever else for the boilerplate stuff you have to put in your syllabus. When that changes, rather than having to go in and edit my syllabus and go into the master shell for the course and delete the original file and upload the new file and do all that stuff, I open OneDrive, I make the edits. The edits happen live with that link. So I immediately have got updated syllabus material in the course. Faster for me, faster for the students, more efficient. Something comes up, the university needs a copy of the syllabus, I can send them a link on OneDrive. Wherever I'm at, I can do it off my phone. I don't have to have local access to that file. So little things like that over time really kind of add up to save your time and make life easier. And like I said, I really like the LMS being a single sign-on. If you can't do that, as we've just discussed, there are answers. We can get around having to make that happen. So I think, okay, so I want to make sure that was still our original question, just hadn't been cleared out yet. So thank you. Very good question there. Good to talk about. Some of my personal favorites. I should have added the syllabus thing. I forgot about it because it's still new to me. I've just been doing it this year. Pretty much all the LMSs will allow you to use a timed release with announcements. So you create the announcement and then you set when that announcement becomes visible to the class. I create announcements for my whole course. Day one, actually like day -10 or whatever, ahead of the course start. And I set up a timed release so that they release, usually the first day of the new module for the whole semester. And what I found early on personally is that I always had really good intentions of posting announcements every week. But you're grading and answering questions and working on your research. You got committee load. We've got all this stuff. And you forget to go in and post your announcements. I don't have to post announcements. I do everything as part of the course design, use timed release. The process is invisible to the student. They see it show up on the Monday that starts that week. Hey, here's everything I need to know. And it posted at midnight. And when I woke up, it was here for this week. Now, obviously, you can also add announcements through the course as you identify things with certain assignments, or you get several questions. Or you can still make assignments or announcements whenever you want to. But your boilerplate stuff that's just, hey, welcome to the week. Here's what we're going to be doing. Here's what to remember. Here's links to the deadlines. Write all that up ahead of time and just use the time to release for it. I really like to have visual cues built in there so that students can easily see what's going on. So I use text headers in my modules. The next one, I stole this from our director of online learning at King. She is phenomenal, very, very talented. I've been happy to get to work with her quite a bit. She was on campus and I stopped by to talk to her, really just socially. And I noticed one of her courses she had open. I was like, what are you doing with that? And so she uses text headers, and the text headers over assignments when she does a class, she puts the due date in the header. Now it's also posted on the calendar. It's also in announcements, that repetition thing. But the deadline is just there as a header right over where you click the assignment. So I liked it. I stole it. Or I guess technically I quoted it because I give her credit. But I really like that. It makes it very easy for the students to see when stuff is due. Wherever the assignment link is, I put directions, rubrics, reference materials, anything connected to that assignment, they can click a link and get to at that assignment. And then my announcements and module introductions, if you read both of them, for the most part, they're literally the same. I write up a master document of that stuff, and my announcement is my module introduction because they serve the same purpose. So again, duplication, post it in multiple places. And at this point, questions, discussions, my LinkedIn contact is posted there. Please don't hesitate to connect with me there, follow up. If you've got questions, you just want to have a discussion, if you've got some kind of cool research and you think I can be a helpful like fourth or fifth author or whatever I can do for you, please connect with me and get in touch with me. I love getting to meet people, connect across the country that, we can do that with this kind of virtual stuff now. And I'm at a small college. So I've got really good colleagues, but it's a small number. So I try and get as many of them as I can here. So let me open up Q&A. Heidi, thank you. I'm glad it was helpful for you. And June's asking for access to the PowerPoint slides. I know I gave Hawk a copy. Are these going to be posted on the conference site so people can get them?
I believe that if you sent them to our team to, be available, yes, we will make them available at some point. I'm not sure when they will be released, but our team does have access to them. So if any of you, if you need to get access to them, our marketing team would be happy to send them your way, especially if Jason's already shared them and said it was okay for that. So yes. Yeah,
I uploaded them with the initial proposal. So as far as I know, y'all have got them. Please do post them and share them. If somebody needs them right away, or if for some reason something happens, you can't get them, reach out to me through LinkedIn here, and I'll be happy to send them to you via email or whatever I can do. And thank you, June. I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to swap screens here and get this course up and running. So I'm going to kind of do a tour through here. As we get more questions, I'll switch over and answer questions. But this is USA 2200. It's a blueprint course. So this is just what we set up There's never been students in this class. It's not a live course, so no FERPA concerns with it. But one of the things, I do an unpublished instructor resource section when I do a blueprint course, because in my case, I'm the course owner. I teach this course a lot, but we also have other full-time faculty as well as instructors who teach this class in addition to me. I'm gonna stop. So you go through your courses each term to make sure the links are working. Stopped using a lot of links because it took so long to check links. Not like I should. How's that? Here's the nice thing about the course linking that I was talking about. The course links those are internal. So let me pull one up. So here's an introduction. And Mary, I'll get to your question as soon as I answer this one. That's a very good question as well. So these highlights, these are course links. So like, hey, be sure to review the syllabus. That's not linking to a website. That's just a link within the LMS itself. And it points to the page that is course syllabus. So, that's not something that's going to break and change because it's internal within the course. Linking to external videos and all that stuff, I try to pay attention to it. Am I 100% at going through and linking, taking links on everything? I'm not. Should I? Yes. I'm a course owner for half a dozen courses that have all got tons of content. I just don't get to it every semester. I should. That's a best practice that I'm not taking care of. And Mary's asking about student versus instructor view. We do have that. So we'll get out of here. And this is Canvas. So go to student view. And you'll notice that instructor thing disappeared because it's unpublished. So students can't see that. And what I've got in there is information about how they can set up the course and the information that's available to them. And I've also got solution files for them to use when they're grading student work. That disappears for the students. It's only available to instructors. And what you've got, you see we've got headers here that like module 2 graded assignments. We've got a discussion forum and an Excel assignment. Do 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. When this course goes live, I'll go in and I'll put starting dates next to each of these modules. And for the Excel assignment, I've got videos that are tutorials for the Excel assignment. I've got that linked right next to the assignment. And it's YouTube videos, but I've got them embedded. And they're nice, discrete videos, how to do specific things. This all links up with the graded assignment. What do I include in people? That's actually not my content. In Canvas, this is just a pre-designed list that shows instructors, students, if you've got TAs. This is just your course roster. So that's not actual instructional material. So I'm going to leave student view because it can be a bit more insightful to see what I'm going on. Oh, absolutely. Anytime you see a new system, whatever comes to mind, ask the question, and sometimes it'll lead to something interesting.
We do have about 1 more minute, so if anyone has any questions, go ahead and throw them in there and we'll try and answer them before our session ends here.
Yeah, please. Y'all have been an absolutely great group today. The questions have been really good. I feel like we've had some good discussions, and that's, for me, that's what makes this fun. That's why I've got an engaged audience. So Mary said you're encouraged to do a personal introduction. How do I feel about it? Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you for being here. It's helpful. I don't do that on the blueprints because multiple instructors teach this class. It's not something I've really jumped into personally. Some of my colleagues have, some of them haven't. In part, I think it depends on, your student base. If you've got more of a personalized, friendly, field. I know our social work faculty, they're really, really personal in their stuff, tons of videos and all kinds of stuff. The business school, we're not as much. And I don't know if that's a better or worse so much as it's just, kind of professional environment and, how does the field operate? We tend to be pretty cut and dry in the business school, which I guess is a subject of criticism, but I really think it's a personal thing by instructor. And well, thank you, Mary. You've had some really good questions today. I think that's very much added to the whole experience for all of us. So thanks for jumping in with things. And that may be the end of my time.
It is, but it is a-okay. This has been a wonderful, wonderful presentation with great questions and a lot of interaction, which is always great to see. Even though we are wrapping up, we do appreciate your time here with us. It was wonderful content. So our next session is our lunch keynote speaker, his name is Arjun Buxi. And you can view the chat for any of that information that you need to join, along with our conference website for a complete list of our concurrent sessions and their descriptions. While accessing the conference website, don't forget to swing by the exhibit hall to say hello to the Hawks team. There you can view a quick 5-minute demonstration and be entered to win the hourly giveaway, your choice of a 6-month subscription to Audible, a 1-year subscription to Disney Plus, or a $100 Amazon gift card. So we will see you at your next session. Hopefully that will be at the lunch keynote. Other than that, hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much, Jason, for your presentation. It was super informative. So with that, we can close out and we will see you later on at all of our other sessions.
Thanks for taking care of us today, Daisy. And thank you everybody for being here. I've enjoyed it.
Of course. Well, thank you guys and have a great lunch keynote.